Hello everyone. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday in 2018, and I hope you're all having a Happy New Year in 2019. In this video, I will show you all of the train-related things that I got for Christmas of 2018, and at the end of the video, I will show the mystery HO scale diesel locomotive that I got for Christmas of 2018. So please hang in there. Don't fast forward or skip ahead in this video. I'll show you everything in order, and we'll get to the mystery HO scale diesel locomotive at the end. So the first item that we're looking at here is this Texas Special EMD F3 diesel locomotive ornament made by Hallmark and licensed by Lionel. This ornament depicts the late 1955 version of the Texas Special F3 that Lionel made, and you can tell because of the trucks. They're painted black. The early 1955 model and the 1954 models of the Texas Special F3 had silver trucks, where they were silver just like the fuel tank right there. Now, the Texas Special train in the real world was a jointly operated train between the Frisco and the Katy. It was a train that ran from St. Louis to San Antonio, Texas, from 1915 to 1959. And then in 1959, the Frisco pulled themselves out of the Texas Special jointly operated train, and it was solely on the Katy, and they changed the northern terminal from St. Louis to Kansas City, but they still left the southernmost terminal the same, being San Antonio. And so that train ran for 50 years, from 1915 to 1965 in total, and for the last 6 years of its life, again, that's when it had the route change from Kansas City to San Antonio, but from 1915 to 1959, that's when it ran from St. Louis to San Antonio. So we'll take a look at that right there one last time. Very nice recreation of the Texas Special F3. And also another interesting thing about it is that this version, the late 1955 version of the Texas Special F3 that Lionel made, the actual version, I'm not talking about the ornament, the actual model itself in O gauge, is the rarest of the post-war Texas Special F3s. However, to most Lionel collectors, it's actually not the most desirable Texas Special F3 because it has the trucks painted black, which was not prototypical. So that I found to be some interesting trivia about this locomotive. And the next item with it is the B unit. I'm not going to say much about this because it basically has the same detail as the A unit. The next item that I got for Christmas of 2018 is the Lionel Lines observation car Summit, number 2436. This was made in the mid-1950s, the O-gauge model of it, that is, from Lionel, made from 1954 to 1956. One error on this car, though, is while it does look accurate to the actual O-gauge model, the lettering and numbering is painted black, where on the actual O-gauge model, it was painted red. So that was actually an error on Hallmark's part right there. But other than that, it actually looks quite nice with the riveted sides and the silhouettes in the windows there. Because that's what Lionel did. They didn't actually render the interiors of their passenger cars in the post-war years. What they did was they were lit interiors, but then they put the silhouettes in the windows to make it look like people were in it. And so that's how they did it, to give the illusion that it was a full occupied passenger train. But nowadays, of course, most model train companies make the interiors fully rendered with seats and actual hand-painted passengers inside. But this is the way it was in the 50s, where they actually just took silhouettes of people and they just put them inside the windows there to give the illusion that the train was occupied. So now the next item that we're looking at that I got for Christmas of 2018 is the Lionel Polar Express ornament set by Hallmark. This is the way the locomotive appeared in the 2004 movie featuring Tom Hanks. And it's actually much smaller in size compared to the Texas Special and the observation car that I just showed you. It's actually much smaller than it. Actually, I'll do a size comparison here. There you can see the Polar Express steam locomotive and the Texas Special F3. You can see the size on them is alarmingly different. Right there. And I have to say, the size is not only smaller, I also feel that the quality has also been bumped down quite a bit on this compared to other Hallmark Lionel train ornaments. And here's the passenger car to go with it. Because not only is it smaller, but for example, on the locomotive, it being a steam locomotive with a 284 Berkshire wheel arrangement, we'll zoom in here so you can see the wheels better. The drive wheels, while they do spin, the side rods don't turn. And I feel that was kind of cheap on Hallmark's part. I kind of wish that they did the same kind of quality that they've done on something like the Texas Special that you see up there, and other steam locomotive ornaments that they have made that were of Lionel trains, and actually had the spinning side rods on them. I think that would have been better. One advantage, though, is that all of the Polar Express contents that you see here fit into one box. But I would rather have seen Hallmark make the Polar Express set be the same size as the other Lionel ornaments that they've made, like the Texas Special, like to be of that kind of size and proportions right there, instead of them being very, very small like this. I would have preferred that for sure. There's the tender and the observation car. So yeah, a little disappointing on that it's not the same size. But at the same time, though, on the bright side, at least it does fit into one box. But I would prefer it in the future if Hallmark makes their Lionel train ornaments be of the same size and larger, so that way then you can get more detail onto them. I would have preferred that instead of having it smaller and less detail just so it could fit into one box. But it's still pretty nice right there. It does bear some resemblance to the Polar Express sets that Lionel made after the 2004 movie came out. So yeah, that's it right there. You can see the whole set in full that way. Alright, so now we'll take a look at the Train Simulator 2019 DLC that I got for Christmas of 2018. We'll take a look at that right now. So now we're looking at the Train Simulator 2019 DLC that I got for Christmas of 2018. This is the Central Pacific 10-wheeler DLC by Smokebox. This includes the Central Pacific 10-wheeler steam locomotives number 82 Buffalo and 86 Gorilla in their as-delivered form, Central Pacific boxcars, Central Pacific Combine Coach Caboose cars, and 3 career mode scenarios for the Cheyenne and 1869 route. Now we move on to the pros, advantages, and strengths of this DLC. These locomotives feature the latest TSX effects, like headlights that light up the surrounding environment, as well as rain on the windows when it rains or snows. All of the cab controls are externally animated, and all the controls animate properly. There are many externally moving parts that connect to the cab controls, such as the cylinder cocks, whistle cord, bell, and brake shoes. The fire not only has flickering flames, it also changes color according to the temperature. There's also firebox glow when the firebox door is opened. Steam will shoot out in a synchronized way out of the cylinder cocks, water tri-cocks, whistle, blowdown pipe, and safety valves whenever they are used. The smoke puffing and steam chuffing are also synchronized. The fireman, who is modeled after me, is visible inside the cab at all times. even in the cab interior view. The fireman has also been made accurately to my likeness. The fireman and engineer are dressed appropriately for American train crews from the 1860s. The doors and windows can be opened in the cab. The cabooses have interior views, and rain can be seen on the windows when it rains or snows. There are many new camera mounting locations on this locomotive, including different angles inside the cab, where you can even see through my eyes in a first-person point of view as the fireman, and there are also many camera views placed on some hard-to-reach areas of the locomotive, providing for some interesting shots. The whistle acts as the code for the brakeman to apply or release the handbrakes based on how many blasts are blown, as it was in the real world in the 19th century before air brakes were implemented on trains. The smoke will change color based on how well or how poorly the locomotive is being fired. Sparks will also fly out of the smokestack at times. The smoke has variable density that will change based on the throttle and reverser settings. The headlight can only be turned on and off if the locomotive is stopped. This is so because it's to symbolize that the headlight needed to be lit manually since it's a kerosene headlight. Whenever the reverser and throttle are being moved, the trigger will push in and then release whenever they are no longer being used. The reverser handle will become very stiff to move if there's too much steam chest pressure, since this locomotive lacks power reverse. Sometimes, if this is attempted, the reverser will slam into full forward or full backward, which could cause serious injury or even death to the engineer in real life. The throttle has a delayed reaction to the player's command, which is prototypical due to the distance between the steam dome and the steam chest. There is visible and animated wheel slip based on load, throttle settings, and reverser settings. When the sander is being used, sand will actually squirt onto the rails. Piston damage can occur due to too much wheel slip or when applying power in the opposite direction while the locomotive is in motion. Snow accumulates on the locomotive when set in the winter. After turning off the bell sound fades out properly with echo and fading effects without ending abruptly. The locomotive has accurate sounds for 19th century 10-wheelers, including the sounds of the bell, whistle, and steam chuffing. And the clickety-clack sounds are realistic on this locomotive, and the included rolling stock that's also included with it. Now we move on to the cons, goofs, and nitpicks of this DLC. The engineer is always invisible in the cab interior view. The camera key commands are a bit awkward and take some getting used to in comparison to other locomotives and train simulators. Unlike the Union Pacific FEF3 Northerns made by Smokebox, there's no way to get the boiler steam pressure or the fire mass to zero if the locomotive is worked too hard. For example, the boiler pressure will always be at a minimum of 77 psi or so, even if the locomotive is being worked too hard. There's no sound of wood being added to the fire. The whistle sound will go mute after holding it down for too long. Some of the controls, like the feed water heaters, the water tricocks, and the tender's handbrake wheel, are fixed and not variable. This means they can only be at 100% on or 100% off and nothing in between. Snow doesn't accumulate on the rolling stock and the locomotive doesn't kick up snow when set in the winter. There's no animation for the brake system and handbrake wheels on the included rolling stock. It's only the tender that has this animation. The scenarios for this pack are made for the Cheyenne in 1869 route. While the time period is correct, Central Pacific 10-wheelers didn't run on this route in the real world since this is a Union Pacific route. Donner Pass is currently available. Even though that route is set long after when these locomotives ran and existed, at least the location would be correct for included scenarios if they were to take place on that route instead of the Cheyenne in 1869 route. And the water hatch on the tender goes through some logs as it opens or closes. So that's all I have to say about this DLC, and now we'll move on to the model train segment of this video, and so we'll take a look at that right now. Okay, so now we're in the model train section of this year's post-Christmas update video, and the first model train piece that we're looking at here is this Nickel Plate Road NE6 class caboose by Atlas. Now, don't be fooled. NE6 is only mentioned on the box and in the catalog for this caboose. The Nickel Plate Road usually refers to these cabooses as the 700 series cabooses. where NE6 was used usually on the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad for the classification of their cabooses that look very similar to the nickel plate road 700 series cabooses. The major difference between the nickel plate road 700 series caboose and the New Haven NE6 caboose is the spacing between the windows on the side. Atlas got it right with the nickel plate road version by having the windows placed closer to the ends, just like on the real versions, where the New Haven NE6 cabooses, the side windows were a bit closer. They were probably like right here instead of right here. That's pretty much the major difference between a nickel plate road 700 series caboose and a New Haven NE6 caboose. Although the thing is, though, is that Atlas, they cataloged this as an NE6 caboose, and that name NE6 is also on the box, but it does not affect the model in any way. It's just a catalog error, that's all. Now, the nickel plate road numbered these cabooses in the 700 series, like you see here. This is caboose number 759, which coincidentally, that was also the same series that they gave their Berkshire steam locomotives, and actually one of the Berkshires that survives today from the nickel plate road, number 759, it's in Scranton at Steamtown. And this caboose also survives, but it's not at Steamtown in Scranton. It's actually at a railroad museum in Indiana. And I will say the quality on this caboose is really nice, at least for the external quality. However, the interior quality, though, is to be desired, and I wish that Atlas went the extra mile on it, just like they did with the exterior on it, but unfortunately they did not. There's no detail at all on the interior, and it has no interior lighting. I would have liked to have seen that on a caboose of this detail, but other than that, though, it's pretty pleasant to look at on the outside, at least. So now, without further ado, I will show you the mystery diesel locomotive that I got for Christmas of 2018. So we'll take a look at that right now. There it is. It is the Erie Heritage Unit. This is an MTH model. MTH's HO line. It's an EMD SD70 ACE diesel locomotive. And just like in the real world, this is one of the heritage units in Norfolk Southern's heritage fleet, painted in the Erie paint scheme, two-tone green with the gold stripes. It basically has all the same details externally and internally as all the other Norfolk Southern SD70 ACEs that MTH made, including down to the same exact sound set. So I'm not going to go over all the details on it. I've mentioned the details before on other SD70 ACEs that MTH has made. So that's basically what you get. This is the Pro Sound 3.0 equipped version, so it's got all the sounds and stuff that MTH supplies. They're all included with this one. So it's a complete package, Pro Sound 3.0, electronics included. So I'll just get it going then, and we'll get to hear it start up. So this concludes this year's post-Christmas update video. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned because for the next 12 months or so, I have some exciting videos planned that I'll be uploading right to my channel. So thank you very much for watching, and hope you have a Happy New Year in 2019.